Jai Hind. From space, I'll get you to ground. Dr. Somnath, Mr. Naresh, and all the eminent speakers sitting here. It is indeed a very honored moment for me to stand here to speak to all of you on many counts. First, that it's an event which is related to Dr. Kalam, a person who is a legend and an icon. One of the most famous scientists, and he played a pivotal role in building the nation. And second is to speak to all of you, which indeed is the future of the nation. In fact, Dr. Somnath just mentioned that it is the youth who have the power to build a nation. I'll give you the figures. In India, 50% of the population is below 25, and 65% of the population is below 35 years. So if we don't use this youth dividend, then definitely history will not pardon us. All other nations which have developed, like Japan, China, Europe, all have a very aging population. So all of you sitting here is something which the nation looks forward to. And nation building is not an individual effort. It is a collective effort in which all of us participate. So you will also wonder why a person in uniform is speaking to you. And I'm sure by the time I finish, hopefully you will be quite convinced that nation building is not only that person in uniform have to protect the country. I think it is the people, the other people like you who defend the country. If I take example of Dr. Kalam and Dr. Somnath, what he is doing and so many other things, you would be surprised that armed forces nowadays function at least 20 to 30% through space. So therefore, it is a collective effort. And again, going to Dr. Kalam, he was called the missile man. He pivoted the nuclear test in 1998. He was part of the launch system. So all these technologies have given India and the Indian Armed Forces a deterrent power against our adversaries. So it is not somebody like me in uniform who has to fight. So what he has done has created that deterrence, especially to our northern adversary, that we are at peace. All of you wonder what is, armed forces are required for what? Armed forces are required for maintaining peace. That is an oxymoron, because if armed forces are weak, your country will get attacked. You have seen it, Ukraine, Syria, Afghanistan, a country which has a strong armed forces, it doesn't get attacked even if you have the most belligerent neighbors around you. And if a country gets attacked, it is not a war which is fought on the borders. It affects the whole population of the country, it affects the economy, the country goes in dumps. Ukraine, a country which has been fighting, I think it will take, I know how many years to rebuild. Therefore, strong armed forces are required for maintaining peace. And that is our job, that if we are strong, we maintain strong deterrence, and with help of technology, we can make and do a lot of work. Now, why I said that the armed forces are changing, and they are changing because of the way technology and the rapid advances in technology is changing warfare. You see, initially, some decades back, it was just fighting on the borders with people with weapons and other things. But nowadays, warfare is connected to all domains. It is now in cyber, it is in electromagnetic spectrum, it is through space. If these domains are not developed, and all these 3-4 domains are going to be developed by people who are sitting here. So we need all your engineering expertise to help the armed forces. Broadly, what the armed forces require, because if the country was importing weapons, thousands of crores was given to foreign countries. Now the same thing is being made in India. The same defense equipment, if it comes to us through Indians, then definitely it will give a different change to economic factor of the country. So the requirement as far as defense is concerned are on 4-5 things. Firstly, we have a current weapon systems which need to be upgraded. They need to be maintained. They need to be made space of. But then there is future technologies. The future technologies are your missile systems, your swarm drones, your light tank, which actually I am part of it. I was part of the design and development. There are other factors which will link all the armed forces, which is called as mosaic or net-centric warfare. Like a computer is of no use if it is not connected to the internet. Likewise, if all our weapon systems are not connected on a net, then they are of no use. So to maximize the weapon systems of the armed forces, they have to have a net-centric warfare. Now, all this will only come in case we have the belief that we are good. You see, we have the CEOs of all major countries who are Indians, but I think that is not good enough. What we should have is those trillion-dollar companies also, which are in India. So I'll just show you some photographs. We can have the photographs. Okay, there are 1 or 2 photographs because, you know, as Indian Army, we have always been good, but I'm just showing you my photographs in the United Nations mission in Congo and South Sudan. Now, these are the most challenging missions. So I'm showing you these photographs that in this mission, you come to know that as an army, you are better than all foreign armies. And it is the Indian Army which is told to do the most challenging job. So from the photos, maybe you can make out, but that is just a small photo to tell you. Coming to, okay, we'll wait for Dr.S.Somnath to go. Okay. Can we have the video also? Okay, this is the surrender in 1971. You can see a officer who is removing his rank is from Pakistan. He is a Pakistani brigadier. He is removing his ranks and his belt. This is more than half a century back. And this is the Pakistan Army laying down their arms. I don't think any country in the world has such a surrender. So this video was just to highlight, and I can connect the Sikh gentleman who's taking the surrender is General Dalbir Singh. He was my grandfather. So this video is just to show you that you see movies where you are shown something as a country which is doing extremely well, the Western countries. But have they ever shown you proof? In World War I and II, it was basically the Indian Army soldiers in the British Army who fought well. And that's why they won. But if you have any movie on war, you will not see any Indians. So this perception that we are good was possibly curtailed. But I showed you a photo of UN missions. We see other armies. They are nowhere close to us as Indian Army is concerned. As far as engineers are concerned, you have seen that ISRO and the space scientists, they have done extremely well with absolutely meager resources. All the major CEOs of and all the people who are in technical field abroad are Indians. So therefore, there's no dearth of talent. There's no dearth of how good we are. So this self-belief has to come about. And I think Dr. Kalam is the one who taught that we can do it. So as Indians, for nation building, I think it is a collective effort when we have to all get together. And as far as Indian Army is concerned, we have varied roles. It is just not the security that which we do. It is the, you see, I am speaking in the end because I think it is like when everything else is over, it is the army which is called. So, like there was a cyclone in Tamil Nadu where I am stationed, and the army was called, and all the time when something goes wrong, it is the army which is called. As far as UN mission, we are the highest contributors, and we are the persons who take on all the challenges which are there across the world. If there's a calamity abroad, it is the Indian Armed Forces which get Indians from abroad. In Turkey, which is not a very friendly nation, we established the hospital and created a goodwill. That's again Indian, that's military diplomacy. And if you have sports, from Milkha Singh to all others, and to the latest sports icon, Neeraj Chopra, all have been through the army. There is adventure in army, and then, you know, the talk to motivate young children and students is always being done. We have army schools which adopt a school which doesn't have resources, and we help them. In J&K and Northeast, the army does goodwill with the villages, and there are people now, there are that Super 30 kind of a thing where people from J&K and Northeast are joining NEET and IITs. So therefore, there's a lot of things which can be done, and people wonder why are Kant so clean. The army is where the environment is also protected. In any city, if you have a green area, it is only a Kant. And that is also being done because, you know, we are close to nature. All our border areas, you will find there will be no environmental degradation. We are in the maximum numbers, whether it is the mountains or desert or anywhere. So all this is because possibly we are close to nature and we are close to the higher aim. The higher aim is possibly nation first. So why are Kants clean? It is not because we have extra resources. It is just that we don't dirty it, or we make sure nobody dirties it. It is not the cleaning process. Every city, town, village has somebody cleaning something, may not be at that standard, but that is not the problem of us not having a clean area. It is the attitude of us not keeping a thing clean. So in army, of course, we have orders and this thing, so nobody dirties the thing. So army as such, or Indian Armed Forces as such, is got a lot of role, direct, indirect, in nation building. As far as our framework is concerned, we are totally secular. How do we become secular, and how do we become totally, you know, we also have units which are based on certain areas or regions. We have people, because, you know, our fighting force strength comes from the unit. And a unit combines itself to give us power. Unit means a battalion, if you understand, which you see fighting. There is squadrons of Air Force, or there's a ship. So all of these are fighting forces. But these small units, they have one, motto, which I just mentioned, nation first. There is nothing which is more important than the nation. So when the whole organization thinks nation first, then obviously it's the nation first. And since I heard some questions on career and other things, everybody of you is obviously looking for a good career. Please do take up careers, and I'm sure some of you must be saying, where will you land up finally? That is important. But once you get a career, don't let it remain as a career. As I said, if you have a higher aim of nation, if not the nation, the organization. Because if I only think for myself, I will limit my vision. But if I think for my organization, I will have a larger vision. I will look after more people. And if I have a greater vision, maybe I'll think in terms of nation, then possibly I will expand my scope of thinking and how I do things. So therefore, when you take up a career, just always don't think for only yourself, because at the end of the day, when you retire, you will have done only a career. Dr. Kalam is held in such high esteem because of his values, of his professional knowledge, of his integrity. He brought dignity to every office. He hardly had any money. So money is not what makes people great. That is a definite. Yes, it is required, but definitely there are other things, and you do other things for other people which make you great. So I will not speak more, because I think with Dr. Somnath going, there are a lot of people who have also left. So if there are any question, I'll try and answer. But in the end, I will just summarize that the system should be such that we have meritorious people rising, because it is the leadership which will take any organization further. And, there's a role of each one of you in becoming a leader, because if you become a leader, then you will take along 20, 30, 40,000 people along with you. As I said, if you are an individual person, then you will just carry yourself. So if you carry a lot, that's how nations and organizations become better. So all the best. If there are any questions, I will take them. Yes, please.
Shri.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.
Sir, my question is that I am a defense aspirant. Currently, I am preparing for FCAT examination. And my question is that, sir, when we are aiming to join Indian Armed Forces, the fitness mentally as well physically matters a lot. But sir, when as a defense aspirant, there is a fear of medical examination. So I wanted to know how to overcome with that medical examination fear. Because for preparation for the exam, we can do it. But for medical examination, we have lots and lots of rumors, myth, and also judgments around the people, society.
Actually, maybe all those are myths. Firstly, when you have to join, I can tell you, physical fitness is not the criteria. Some of the most unfit people join. Why you get rejected is your mental attitude. Because there is a certain because there is a psychological test which is done on you. So if you are not matching with the requirements which I just mentioned, then possible. So that is the major reason for you. It is nothing to do with your physical. Physical, you should just be okay. And if you are able to do a few other things. And as far medical is also concerned, you see, if you are joining Air Force.
Yes.
So if you're joining Air Force, the medical is strict, because, you are in the plane, you should be able to have a correct eyesight, your G factor and all those other things. You just asked the question to Dr. Somnath. Why do you think they have chosen Air Force pilots?
Exactly.
Because
sir.
the, the things which are required in space is of a higher caliber. So Air Force pilots are fit, and it is not fitness by muscles, it's the fitness, your internal fitness. And like I was in an event few days back, the Paramveer Chakkars, who are the bravest in the country, they don't have muscles. A person with muscle may be the first one to run away when a bullet is fired. So muscle is the last criteria. But you know, the army gives the impression they are fit, and generally people are fit. But I can tell you, once you join army, there are two myths: that you don't have to study. I can tell you the amount of studies which I've done in army, I could have joined anything else. So, you know, you are continuously studying from space, because if I have to use ISRO as things which are required in the armed forces, I have to know space. I have to know computers. I have to know Internet of Things. I have to know artificial intelligence, machine learning. I have to know the mechanical part. I am from tanks. I have made a design for a tank. Swarm drones. So there are, and then you have to know strategy. You have to know history. You have to know everything. So one is you have to study a lot if you have to, I am telling you now. And medical is not an issue if you are, I mean, there shouldn't be anything wrong with you. Every person, 90% is medically fit. So if you get yourself tested in any civil this thing, the tests are normal. You know, people have heart murmur or there is something which is there. So if you are fit in a civil this thing, you will be fit in army also.
Sir, my next question is that, sir, what message you would like to give defense aspirants like me who wanted to be a soldier, who wanted to serve the nation with immense soul?
As far as if you want to serve, you see, the Indian Armed Forces is not a job.
Yes.
Firstly, that should be understood. It is more than a job, it is a way of life. So it is 24/7, we are like a family, because if you have to lead or if you have to tell that let's fight and you would know that possibly you will die in that action, how will that come? That only comes by, because you know, as a Indian Army or Armed Forces, we are very, we lead from the front, the officers. That's why you find so many officer casualties which are happening. The officer leads, and if he leads, everybody follows. In most armies, that doesn't happen. And that's why, you know, whatever wars we have fought, we have finished in 13 days, 20 days. You can see all around, those wars never finish. So, the inspiration of leading and all this starts when you join an academy. Your thinking and your everything will start changing, because you will not think about yourself. It will always be teamwork. It will always be the organization. It will always be izzat of your unit. It will always be jhanda. So when you forget yourself, then you achieve higher aims. Like we have certain saints who think of the higher. It is something similar in army, because thinking of money is low level thinking. So when you start the army way of life, you will realize that when you have come close to number of death-like situations, nothing matters except how good you are with each other, how you feel for each other. That is why war fighting is not a science. That question also you asked. War fighting is an art, because everything is based on, as a commander, if there is a challenge, should I attack or not attack? You must have seen some movies. You must have seen, I don't know, which was that movie of Saragadi, where they decided to hold on those 21 persons, they took on 1,000 Afghans. That's a true story. Akshay Kumar, who was there. So there are a number of these stories. You have now Vikram Batra, somebody is replicating that. But you know, what they did is much more heroic than what these heroes do. Of course, heroes are just replicating, but they become famous. That's the sad part. There's a total difference between real hero and real heroes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, before going, I would like to pay my gratitude to all the officers sitting here and to you. Jai
Thank you.
Hind.
Thank you so much. Yeah, any?
Good evening, sir. With respect, I would like to ask a question that I'm an aspirant of becoming an entrepreneur. So if I develop a product which is related to defense and some space research thing, mainly I will focus on defense now. So how can defense, the group of army can trust me to take my products, because startups cannot be trusted very easily, because we have seen many data leaks and research paper leaks from India as well. So my question is how army defines and trust a company.
You see, our functioning is based on trust. So if somebody betrays it, it can't, I mean, suppose you are asking a question, if you are a startup, you want to help defense forces, is that the question, or you're saying that if there is somebody who's doing something and then he can betray?
If I develop a product, I'm a nationalist and I want to contribute to my country very much. So I'm giving a product to defense. Take an example, missile I'm giving to the Navy of India. So how can Naval Force of India can trust me? And
No, I mean all the people in the front row who are doing this, people who are speaking to you, Dhruva Space and all these, they are giving to us all products. We trust them. There's no this thing that if you are coming from the civil, because please understand, I think you are too young. We had the DRDO as the only organization which was developing the technology. Yes. But DRDO capacity, because the way things are moving, the private industry is equally moving fast. So we have to give a chance to the private industry to develop products. And there are now many procedures which you may not be aware. There's something called IDEX. There are Army Technology Board projects. There are so many other projects which are, even the IITs are incubating for Army. I am from Chennai. I am mentoring the research park startups there. There are 500 startups. In fact, Agnikul launches there, which I was supposed to witness. Now I think is happening some days after. Yes. Now all these things which technology is, how did Elon Musk help Ukraine? I don't know whether you are aware. He established a grid. So he's a private player. So we need private players, because I told you that cyber, EM spectrum, space, computers, AI, ML, quantum computing, all these are civil domain. So you develop any technology in this field, and defense is the one which will take it first, and if it is critical technology, it will be taken at a very, very high price. Why do you think US is doing so well as a country? Because they have got all the critical technology of defense. Otherwise, if you take out the defense companies from United States, it will hardly have any other thing which it is producing. You understand? So country does well when the defense is with the country. We didn't do so well because we were importing. Now this thing is changing, but it will take some time. So we have to stop our imports of basics, even spare parts and this thing. Of course, now we have stopped, but some of the critical technology the other country is not willing to give. Then people like you should be making it and giving it to us.
For sure, sir. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, sir. मैं हिंदी में ही बोलना चाहूँगा कि पहली बात तो आपको शुभकामनाएं. आप 2023 अप्रैल में GOC साहब बने चेन्नई में. एंड दूसरी बात ये मेरी कि रिलेटेड है MES मिलिट्री इंजीनियरिंग सर्विसेज की, कि वो भर्ती इतनी लेट क्यों होती है. मतलब अभी रिसेंटली जो आई थी उसका गैप 7 साल का था.
अच्छा, थैंक यू. पहले तो आपने जो बताया, बट मिलिट्री इंजीनियरिंग सर्विस का जो प्रोसीजर है वो मतलब वो वहाँ तो मतलब आर्मी के या आर्म फोर्सेस का तरीका नहीं है. तो ये हम चेक करके बता देंगे कि उस गैप क्यों है, बिकॉज उनका वैकेंसी बेस्ड सिस्टम है. तो अगर वैकेंसी नहीं होएंगी तो इसलिए शायद उन्होंने नहीं ली होएंगी, बिकॉज हर एक जगह अभी डाउन साइजिंग हो रही है. जैसे आर्मी की भी स्ट्रेंथ कम हो रही है, हमारी भी रिक्रूटमेंट बहुत देर कम रही, बिकॉज जो मैन पावर पे जैसे एक प्राइवेट कंपनी अपनी कॉस्ट कटिंग करती है बाय ले ऑफ्स, वैसे ही मैन पावर का एक्सपेंडिचर बहुत हैवी होता है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, तो शायद उस वजह से उन्होंने वैकेंसी नहीं की होगी, बट आप ये नोट कर लेंगे, आपको बता देंगे एग्जैक्ट रीज़न क्या है।
थैंक यू सर। एंड और एक सवाल है आपसे, अग्निवीर के रिलेटेड है, अगर आप कहोगे तो पूछता हूँ मैं।
हाँ नहीं, पूछ लीजिए कोई।
मतलब अग्निवीर को इतना मतलब क्यों सपोर्ट नहीं किया जा रहा है?
देखो वो तो अभी हो गया है, मतलब आप पूछ रहे क्यों सपोर्ट नहीं किया जा रहा है?
जी मतलब हाँ, भर्तियाँ तो हो रही है, लेकिन वही कि अगर आप शहीद हो गए तो नो पेंशन वगैरह ऑल दैट। नहीं,
वो थोड़ा सा शायद जो हुआ था अभी चेंज कर दिया है पॉलिसी में।
लेकिन अभी तो सारे जनरल एयर दल सभी के जनरल आए थे, उन लोगों ने अभी कुछ इतना बोला नहीं ऑफिशियली जब उनसे पूछा गया था।
नहीं, देखो अगर कोई नॉर्मल सोल्जर किल्ड इन होता है उसको कुछ दिया जाता है, बट अभी वही चीज़ अग्निवीर के लिए भी कर दी है। ये एक नई पॉलिसी चेंज है, और दूसरा बैंक और उनकी भी इंश्योरेंस बढ़ा दी है, ताकि अगर खुदा ना खास किसी वजह से कुछ हो जाए तो उनको या उनके नेक्स्ट ऑफ किन को ठीक से वो मिल जाए। वो हो गया है, मतलब ये जो थोड़े में 2-3, बिकॉज किसी ने सोचा नहीं था कि वो यंग हैं तो उनको होगा कुछ, बट 1-2 केस आगे, फिर वो आपको पता ही है कि फिर वो थोड़ा हेडलाइंस ले लेते हैं, तो इसलिए तो उनको कंपनसेशन जो है वो मतलब अभी एग्जैक्टली वो अब मैं आपको बता, बट क्लोज टू 1 करोड़ तो है, 70 लाख प्लस काफ़ी कंपनसेशन है अगर ऐसे हो जाए तो।
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
ओके,
जय हिंद।
Jai Hind sir, I am Rida Miraj from SMP International School. Sir, I have a question that can you please suggest us about how should we develop our skills in the field of defense?
okay, if you want to join.
Yes sir.
Okay, whether you want to join or not, you should have a feel of defense, because you know as you would have noticed, any defense organization or action is done with quite a very high degree of efficiency. So if an organization has to do well, it has to be disciplined, it has to be punctual, it has to be honest. Honesty and integrity is very high in defense forces. So these qualities actually are required by anybody. So if you have to join defense, these qualities are what our parents teach you, what our teachers teach you. So if you are following those qualities, there's nothing different which you have to do. Only thing is we forget along the way. So what is expected in defense is highest level of integrity, highest level of discipline, highest level of adherence, and everything is not clouded by certain other factors, but it is the nation first. And you're working towards your unit, and you're working towards betterment of your men, because it is nation comes first always and every time. The men which you command come second, and you come last. So, you know, these are the things which are there in defense, and we do that very normally. So it becomes part of life, and possibly when I was in school, I was like all of you or the people who have joined army, but after 20 years, the same person will see that there is a difference which has come. This difference is because of the way we think, the way I'm telling you, what I'm telling you just now. So when you start thinking in, so to say, a more refined manner, you will possibly also give a more refined outlook to the world. And if you have negative thoughts, your personality will also not look very refined. So all these are things from within and outside. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. So my question is, as nowadays the technology goes on improving, and what if in the army, like during the fighting and the war, if the humans were replaced by all the robots as the technology is improving, will that will be advantages or disadvantages? And will may that happen in the future because all the humans start replacing by the machines and the robots?
Okay, no, this question, now everything will be autonomous. You will have robots, you will have AI, you have ML. But, in the immediate future or maybe, I don't know, this century, I don't know how things are moving fast. You can't replace a man in the army because, warfare is just not about killing. You will train that soldier or that robot to kill. You see, if you understand whatever little I have spoken, it is like it is also said that in army, we don't kill the person because we hate him more. We defend our nation because we love the people of a nation more than what we hate the person who's in front. So this emotional connect, how will the robot develop? And there are many situations and decisions which you don't take based on science. You see, you say, I will hold on to this position or I hold on. Like pilots, people who are flying, I'm not talking of commercial planes, their reaction time is in milliseconds. Now that millisecond will not be a computer generated thing. It will be your experience. It will be so many other factors. So therefore, the science and technology is becoming part of war fighting. And as I said, you all people are required there. And these things will get more because nobody wants to lose humans. So war fighting will be more like video games. You firing missiles from here, you doing cyber attacks, you are doing something and they are doing from the other side, but there's no physical contact, kinetic contact is not there. Because everywhere when you lose, especially the Western countries, there's a large, huge and cry that so many people have been lost. But not in immediate future. Yes, you will have some robo-like actions, like autonomous vehicle. Swarm drones are what? A project which I have led. It is got a system of, it is AI ML which are collaborating. All drones are collaborating with each other. They are given an area for surveillance. From their data library, they surveil an area and see that where is the enemy tank or whatever. Then there is a man in the loop. He says, go and destroy. So the drones go there and destroy that. So, but there is a man in the loop. So man in the loop has to be there because ultimately the machines may not know they start destroying your own forces. So definitely not so, and there are other factors which can't be answered in this short time, that you can't replace a man. Yes, you can have systems to assist you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jain sir, is there any chance to join the army after my graduation? If so, what are the exams to clear and what are the ranks I can expect?
After graduation, you can join straight to what is called, I think, CDS, Combined Defense Services. You join IMA. There's a CDS exam. And if you are engineering graduate, there is another process by which you can join, but there is something called the interview, SSB.
Yes, sir.
That part which I was just mentioning, where people generally get rejected, that is not because of physicals or something, it is because of your aptitude and your psychological tests. So, depending on your age, all these things are, you can just Google CDS exam. After joining, I think you will get an answer as it is. But otherwise, we can connect with you and guide you. That's not an issue.
And one more thing, sir. Can I get your autograph, please?
That is all right. I'm not as famous as Dr.S.Somnath.
No problem,
For
sir.
army, army officers are all the same. You will never know who did what. There may be a real hero who would have done, but we just remain in the background. That's how we are supposed to be. We can take. Okay. That's all.
Good evening, sir. I am Raghavendra Pallavi Engineering College. Sir, if any other country terrorists present in our country, how you will identify them, sir?
You see, that identification, you can't make out if, the word terrorist or no terrorist, one can't say. But somebody who's not having who's anti-national or trying to do something wrong. From looks, you can't make out. You understand? You can't make out from the looks, but it is only the actions. So in that sense also, I think everything is now on mobiles. So there's the intelligence agencies which are there, which are again not only of Army, but they are of all across NTRO, NIA and all these. We have a combined system which is working from the actions on the mobile or movements, or there's a database. This is where your AI will come in.
Yes, sir.
Where you are able to track if, if you are sending a message, something like bomb on
sir.
WhatsApp, that thing will get tracked. And I think if you have, there was an event which happened about just few weeks back, an Indian from, I think England was flying. He just messaged in his Snapchat or something that there's a bomb. He just made a joke of it. And he was on the plane. He found 2 Air Force planes side by side by that and told that there's a bomb in the plane, you make it land. He just gave a message, and of course he was then taken, and then they realized, but he was put in custody for some time. So anything which you do on your mobile or all your activities, thanks to the engineering and technology, every action is monitored. But what is inside your mind, like what Dr. Somnath said, there will be chip then. The chip will tell, is he a national or an anti-national? I think that time will come and that will be a different thing happening altogether. You see, who's a terrorist? I mean, if you define, who do you define a terrorist?
Any other countries terrorists like Pakistan? Like
You see, they are all, because you may not have dealt with them directly, all of them are paid. They are doctrinated. And then they are told to do that. Tell me, any of the leaders or any of the rich people of any country, including if you're talking of even Palestine, where are their children? They are not fighting. It is the poor people who are the targets. They are made to do training and they are made to do as a cannon fodder and sent. So people should realize who's making you do what. So that is why somebody asked that question, will robots come in? Robots can't decide that. We have the intelligence. We should know what is happening around us and who's making us. Now in media and social media, you see so many news which, can be anything, but we start believing it. So, I mean, to our troops, I tell, or we all tell, that if you have not seen it, don't believe it. Whether it is positive, negative, doesn't matter. But that is the purpose of social media. They engineer your mind to give you an impression, to send you some message. Okay.
thank you, sir.
Honored to be speaking with you, sir. Is it normal that I'm more passionate about helping individuals than about contributing to national efforts? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Just coming in, is it?
Is it normal to that I'm more passionate about helping individuals than national efforts?
I am passionate about helping
Individuals
Then,
than national movements or national efforts.
are you talking of the army as such? Or,
When it comes about the whole nation,
I mean, you're trying to
the
differentiate.
idea of helping the nation. I think I'm more compelled by when we talk it's about individuals. So how do you, you could lay out your perspective.
Okay,
How
I
you-
think if I've understood, what you're saying is if I have to help the nation, do I help the individual or I talk about nation? Is that it? No.
I'm more compelled by the idea of helping each human beings, irrespective of what nation.
And you please help, you see, nation is an idea. It is a entity. We have the nation state concept. Now, if you help individuals, please go ahead. I mean, individuals only make a nation. So if you are helping individuals individually, but you know, we are talking of as an army, we are talking of as an organization. Now, when we are talking of as an organization, we have to have a higher ideal. I am not talking individually as a person, but individually, yes, if there are people who need help, I will help them individually. And they are not in conflict with nation. There should be no conflict of helping individuals with the nation because individual resides in the nation. And these individuals are getting the benefits because they are in that nation. If you are, because I have served, like I give you this thing, we should be thankful that we are in India. You go to any other nation, we may have images of the developed country, but go to any other nation in the world, it is very good we are in India. What India offers, there are so many advantages. You go to some other country, there will be so many restrictions, you just can't move. If the country is developed. In some other countries, the things are so bad in African countries, there's just no, there's no food, there's no nothing, there's fighting happening. You don't know whether tomorrow everybody is carrying a gun. So, please help individuals.
Maybe you could recommend or a couple of books. Yeah.
There are many books. We can talk separately. There are many books on that. You see, the people who write on that are their individual opinions. You please think yourself.
That
you don't
you
have to,
liked.
You have to yourself think that how do you work for the nation? You make sure you pay taxes. You are not corrupt. You do your job sincerely. You don't dirty the area where you are around. You know, helping the nation is not only fighting on the border. Helping the nation is by doing the right thing as a good citizen. And if you have a larger capacity, that you start a factory where you give employment to all the poor people. Like I mentioned that all the CEOs are of major companies abroad. Why aren't those companies here? Those trillion-dollar companies, why aren't they in India? You start them, all the people who are poor will get it. So the United States is doing well because there are, multi-billionaires, not one, two, there are thousands. So if there are 1,000 multi-billionaires, they will employ people and give them those salaries. If in India we are having just few of these companies, then how will India grow? And America is very clear. They take the best talent. They are irrespective of anything. They pay you money and will get you. If they know you are intelligent, they will pick you up from here and take you there. So that is how the nations are controlling the situation, the major powers. It is time we also did think because it's the Indians who are working there. Those Indians should make the same companies here. And all the people who are in Hyderabad will flourish if you have those Google and, there's an Indian Google and Indian Elon Musk coming up. And we may have people who will possibly, they are sitting here. Okay, thank you.